All right, welcome to Hit or Miss. This is a special Sean Ponery edition. He's going to talk about stuff tonight. I think we're doing. We may also cover Super Tuesday. Depends on how things go from here. I want to thank my panelists for joining in. Heavy B,
Yo.
Dano.
Glad to be here.
What's this? Never Enough Ammo's here too.
What's up?
And then we have Sean Ponery.
Good evening.
All right, Sean, tell us what we're doing tonight.
All right, so today is Super Tuesday, and I voted twice, actually. I woke up this morning, and I voted Democrat in the bathroom because my dinner last night had 6 too many chili peppers in it. And then I went to work and got paid because Texas does have a mandate where your employer has to allow you 2 hours of work time to go vote. So I did.
That's right.
So I exercised my right to vote, because if you don't exercise your right to vote, you really shouldn't exercise your right to bitch and moan about who got elected.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah on that last part.
So yeah, I got away with double voting today. It was pretty awesome. I felt the burn, and then I voted for my guy. So
That sounds painful.
All I need to say is too much burn.
All right, so today I was given carte blanche for a topic. I guess, sometimes we struggle to find something really poignant to talk about. And something that's been on my mind a lot lately is trying to run for public office. There's an area, I live in Houston, and they just created a new district which is built right over my neighborhood. So, city council members in my state or my city, they can only be elected on odd number years. So I decided to start looking into getting my name on the ballot, because the guy who got elected last year made it with 38 votes. So, you know what? If you want to be part of the process, you got to start somewhere, right? But I joke about it a lot here in Gun Channels. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to join us, gunchannels.com. It's basically the Second Amendment friendly version of Facebook. So, come on, join. It's free. You can create your own pages. You can join chats just like this. You can be part of panels just like this. Or you can create your own panel show if you want. I mean, we were always looking for new hosts, new shows, new topics to talk about, and just new fresh faces. So basically,
Yeah.
I joke about it a lot so far, that whoever's going to be elected this year, whether they're Republican, Democrat, or other, they're only going to be in there for 4 years, because, I've got this ridiculous ambition to make a run for the White House in 4 years, so I can be in there in 2020 with my Vice President, Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs. And, from time to time, people ask me what I think about certain topics, and to be honest, a lot of these guys come up with some really great questions, and sometimes I don't have an answer. But this is no different than the guys we got right now in the debates. Sometimes they get confronted with something that they don't have an answer to, and they don't know how to answer it. But, what's wrong with just saying, I've never really given that much thought, but if you give me a couple of days, I'll get back to you and I'll tell you what I really think. I don't want to give you I don't want to blow smoke up your ass and give you an answer that, just fits the party demographic or whatever. So, we're obviously all 2A friendly people here. We're all gun collectors, owners, shooters, reloaders, and what have you. And I seem to take offense to people who are anti-gun. What happens for me is I've known people for 20 years, and I might have lost touch with them. I get reacquainted with them, especially recently, and as soon as they find out that, I'm a firearms owner or I'm a shooter, they just disappear off the face of the earth. I've been criminalized. I've actually been told that firearms owners, whether you protect your family, go to the range, reload your own ammo, that you are literally a criminal in waiting. You just don't know when you are going to strike yet. And I thought that was ridiculous. So, we have these groups like Moms Demand Action, Moms Demand Attention, basically the same thing, right? And I tend to think that the mothers out there who protect their children by carrying their own firearm should speak out and make a group called Moms Demand Action shut the hell up. because for every mom that demands action, there's a mom who's already taken action, and she's already protecting her family because she knows her rights and she exercises them, safely and correctly. But I think the antis are a bit misguided, and the topic of today's show is basically putting the cart in front of the horse. I've got 8 guns right behind me, and to this day, not one of them has jumped out of the case and attacked me. Nobody's been shot, nobody's been hurt. But antis will demonize the tool that obviously can have some serious consequences. So basically what I want to talk about is you guys are attacking the wrong amendment. There's 2 amendments in the Constitution that are made to protect the people when it comes to life and death, basically. And the Second Amendment, as we all know, was created for us, the people, the citizenry. It allows us to assemble. It allows us to keep and bear arms. It allows us to be able to protect ourselves against criminals or your own government. If they decided to overthrow or become overbearing, you have the right to assemble and speak out and do something about it. These days, it's much harder because there's this little thing called the National Guard, and they can be assembled against you, but at least you have a fighting chance because you can assemble yourselves as well. The other amendment that works sort of against the people protects the criminal element. It's the 8th Amendment, and for those not in the know, the 8th Amendment protects the criminals against what they consider cruel and unusual punishment, which, at the time, it may have been much more relevant than it is today. But why do you want to protect the criminals so much when you're constantly attacking the amendment for the people to protect themselves? So, my proposal idea is we should take a good hard look at the 8th Amendment and think of ways to rewrite it or reinterpret it. The ATF is really good at reinterpreting things against us, so why don't we reinterpret an amendment that will work in our benefit and help educate the anti-gun crowd that you should really be looking towards making criminals pay or stymieing their desire to do harm onto others. Just a basic example here. If you rewrote the 8th Amendment to no longer allow the protections of that amendment to anyone found guilty of capital or first-degree murder, then now they're no longer protected by the 8th. And I'm not saying you're going to go out there and tie them to 2 different horses and yank them in different directions or anything. It's nothing like that. I'm just saying that there should be much stiffer penalties for certain crimes that a Supreme Court justice can't stop and say, that's cruel and unusual, they're protected by the 8th. For instance, if you were a victim of an armed robbery by a guy who was desperate for money to feed his coke habit, and he's never robbed anyone before, I'm sure there's a lot of instances of first-time offenders using a gun to rob people for money. What if that was a mandatory 30-year sentence with no parole? That fence-sitter criminal is going to be terrified to even try the act anymore because he knows that if he got caught, his life is theoretically over. 30 years, I'm never getting out. You make the penalty so stiff and so overbearing for people that they won't commit the crimes. Your first-time offenders won't commit the crimes. And that's the majority of your firearms-related crimes. It's going to be a first-time offender pushed into the brink. You don't hear of serial murderers anymore like you may have in the past. You hear about this guy who knocked over the liquor store because he needed to buy Coke or whatever. So you can stave off the majority of amateur crime, I guess is a good way to put it, and that will give you the results that the anti-gunners want. Less crimes committed with firearms. Because you can write a million gun control laws, and all that's going to do is make it harder for you to defend yourself, and it's just going to be a million more crimes that'll be tacked onto the rap sheet of the guy who gets caught. It's not doing us any good to just make more paperwork to fill out against a guy who's going to be in jail anyway. That's pretty much my spiel.
Awesome. Well, it doesn't sound like a bad idea. I mean, what do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea, honestly, but then you have to get it past all the libtards out there. They're going to say, well, what about the person who's convicted innocent is innocent, wrongfully convicted and is innocent? Now they're stuck in hell for 30 years. That's not right. And that's kind of how the prison system out here in California has gotten. I mean, we just released a bunch of violent felons because they wanted to. Prop 47, I think, is what it is. And it's not so much making the crime stiffer, but actually making them do the time for the crime instead of putting them in jail and then or prison and then kicking them out early because of quote unquote overcrowding. Um, those are issues that have to be dealt with too.
One thing that just comes to mind, and it may not be an issue at all, but is if we open up one amendment to redefine it, which of course is not like passing a law, there's a lot more required for it, then that opens up the door to open up other amendments.
Well, they're trying to do that right now anyway.
Yeah.
They're trying to pull a constitutional convention right now. Just one of the reasons, specifically to amend the Second Amendment in a way that is more plain, I guess, to the idiots that live today.
Right.
But
See, I think the
it's
thing
hard to
is
say, at what point do we gain more or do we risk by opening that door of getting a different reaction by saying, well, let's reinterpret it, or what we think of as make it more clear, they think of as let's reinterpret.
well, that's the first thing. You see, we have to
It's
we have
a
to
living
inform the
document.
public that the amendment that they think is the problem is not the problem, and they have to realize that there is another amendment in place that is actually protecting the criminal to a degree that the instances of the problems that they're blaming guns on is out there. And there's what part of the Second Amendment will protect the people that they can change, that's going to make it any easier for us to protect ourselves. I mean, it's by the definition, word for word of the Second Amendment, there's nothing in there that says you can buy a gun without a background check and you can take it across state lines. There's already countermeasures in place. They're already making it harder than it should be for you to protect yourselves, but they're going about this all the wrong way. They're taking an attack at the protectionary amendment instead of attacking the criminals' protectionary amendment. And the problem is they're upset by people using firearms in criminal acts. So logic dictates that if you're committing a criminal act, then you need to attack the amendment that protects the criminal instead of attacking the amendment that protects the people. I've got a really good example here. I was the victim of a carjacking when I was really young. I was about 7 years old. My mother was in the hospital following a car accident, and my dad had a Cadillac. And we were driving in downtown Houston, and we were sitting at a light just to get to the hospital. And what happened was a guy tapped on my dad's window and pointed a gun at him. So he rolled down the window and said, "Look, I got to get my kid out of the car. You can have it. I don't care. Just give me a second." And the guy's, shouting expletives and whatever. And he tells me to get out of the car and duck. Just lay down underneath or squat down behind the car and don't look at what's about to happen. I hear the door open. I hear a gunshot. I hear a guy screaming. I see a guy laying on the ground. My dad takes a second shot into the shoulder for the guy, too. Then he just puts the gun on the hood of the car, tells a passerby to call the police, and he just waits. This guy's bleeding through his leg and through his shoulder, and he just waited for the cops to show up. Explained everything that happened. Job done. Filled out some paperwork. Got to pick up his gun 2 days later. No charges against him. There's nothing that an anti-gunner could or should have done to make it more difficult for him to protect me. I was a 7-year-old kid. So, what does an anti-gunner want to do to make it harder for my dad to have protected me when I was a little kid? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the whole argument doesn't make sense. I mean, that's the biggest problem with trying to use that, well, any rational argument with them is because it doesn't make sense and it's not based on logic.
Based on
It,
feels.
it's exactly, and even more so, it's based on agenda. It's based on an agenda, this anti-gun agenda that goes back, you know, well over 100 years, just in this country, and then just the idea of disarming a populace is something that's been around since, we've had civilization. People in power don't like the little people having guns, or don't like the little people having the ability to defend themselves. And it's the whole and people, and that's what I find most amazing when you have a conversation with somebody about, hey, the whole reason that that your government is telling you don't need a gun and we got to do this and we got to do that is because they don't want you to have a gun, because governments inherently, they become corrupt and they want more power, and they can't get more power when the people can defend themselves. And people go, well, that's just stupid. That would never happen. Well, then why did we have the Second Amendment in the first place? Why was it so important that they put that in there right after freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion? Why was that the second thing they thought about? Because of the fact that that is how it goes. And so you have just in this country alone, you got over 100 years of people pushing an agenda and saying they're doing it for our own good, and it has nothing to do with that, but they use every little instance they can find, which, let's be honest, how many mass shootings are there? How much actual gun violence is there in this country compared to how many people we have living here? I mean, what is the per capita gun? I mean, we've got what, 300, over 300. It's like probably 350 to 400 million guns in this country, but they can reasonably assess we've got 300 million that they know of. I mean, if everybody who owned a gun was a criminal in waiting, I mean, we would be living in chaos all the time. So it's nothing that they talk about, nothing that they say, the idea behind we need to get rid of guns, when we can prove over and over and over again statistically that guns are used far more often to defend people's lives than to take people's lives, or than to commit some sort of act of violence, especially in this country, because we have the right to defend ourselves. Because we have all the examples of how our country was formed that show that we should have the right to keep and bear arms to defend ourselves from all sorts of tyranny, whether it's a government or the guy up the street. So I mean, everything's there, and anybody with half a brain and Google Chrome can look up any statistic they want and instantly find out that the anti-gunner argument is bullshit. But it's not based on any of that. It's based on people pushing agenda, and they use emotions and feelings to get people to think, even though it's completely stupid and it makes no sense whatsoever. They convince people, like Moms Demand Attention and all these other groups, that somehow just getting rid of guns and making it harder for people to get guns legally will fix the problem, even though there is absolutely 100% no truth to that whatsoever. And any of us in here, within 5 minutes, can go to 100 different websites, everything from the CDC to the American Journal of Medicine to the FBI. They all keep stats on this stuff, and these are all unbiased organizations. And we can sit down and show somebody, look, everything you believe is wrong. But will that change their mind? No. Because like every anti-gunner out there, they instantly go into, well, I have a right to feel safe. And no, you don't. You don't have a right to feel safe. That's not what our country is founded on. So go fuck yourself. Sorry. But
I'm looking, but feelings aren't in the Bill of Rights.
No,
and if anyone doesn't know what the Bill of Rights is, you need to go and open a fucking history book, because it's the first 10 amendments.
But
you guys are just sitting around
in our society, even down to the local level. Let me give you an example. If I go walking down the street with a Pals webbing vest on, and I have a med kit on, I have a nav kit on, I have a camelback, but I'm actually getting ready for going camping this summer, and I want to get used to walking how many miles I can do with my stuff on. I can guarantee you in my town, I will get called as someone suspicious, and because it made someone feel unsafe, they will come and question me.
You guys are assuming that people are smart.
Oh, we're not.
Individually, people can be smart. I'm not saying they are. I'm saying they can be. But as a whole, they're idiots.
And hey, PBR, how's it going?
It's gone.
And yes, I did.
Good. You'll be happy. Or I'm sure you're happy with it.
Oh yes.
For,
Happier
for,
tomorrow.
for anyone not knowing what they're talking about, Dano got a new gun.
Woo!
That's reason for celebration.
He got it for a good price, is what he got.
Well,
Yes. And,
Uh,
and,
uh,
and I got an interesting story, and I know some of you have already heard it, so I won't repeat it. But
maybe later on in the show we'll talk about it.
yeah, if things slow down, let me know, and I'll whip it out. I mean, I'll tell you the story.
Oh,
damn.
damn.
Wait, what kind of chat did I just get invited to?
Go that far.
Somebody's been watching too many Blazing Saddles.
Boy, I have vision where the rest of the world is wearing bifocals.
Actually, since we were on the topic of statistics and stuff, there has been a haunting trend here in Houston, at least for January and part of February. There were more people killed in hit-and-run accidents in the city of Houston than there were shootings. And that was shocking to me. I mean, I've lived here for 34 years, and I've never heard of so many hit-and-runs in a 6 weeks period in 34 years than I did just at the beginning of this year. It was ridiculous. And a lot of them happened right by my work, too.
It's happening a lot out here in Southern California, too.
So do we ban cars? I mean, we're all driving 4,000-pound fueled missiles.
Well, wait a minute. Let's make it illegal to drive without insurance. Oh, wait a minute. We've already done that.
Right.
In every state.
How did that work out?
Yeah.
It sucks.
Well, look at everything they've done to cars. You have to have a license, and you have to have insurance, and you have to get it registered, and you have to get it inspected, and it has to meet certain safety standards, and you have to wear your seatbelt. And yet there are still, what, 10, 9, now, quite a few times as many people dying from cars as dying from guns. And they're highly regulated, and it hasn't done anything. Now, statistically speaking, it hasn't necessarily, I don't think we've gone up, have we, in car deaths per capita, but we've certainly not decreased, so more regulation does not work.
I think we're sort of at a plateau of around 30,000 a year, roughly around 30,000 a year, whereas, firearms-related homicides, not suicides, just homicides, just person-on-person killings, less than 2,000?
Well, I think to make the general broad stroke statement of, and I got to explain this, so don't jump on me right away, that all regulation is bad and that sort of thing is a little bit too broad. And I'll just give you an example, and that's industrial polluters.
Oh, man. We just had a bad one in my city, but go on, Dana.
Back in the 60s, the Cuyahoga River in Cleveland, Ohio, caught fire. It was that polluted. Water was on fire, a natural river.
Yeah, we just had like today in this day and age, we just had 2 glass manufacturers exposed for leaking toxic levels of cadmium and arsenic into the air and soil in an area of my city, and one of the factories was right. It's like it's like a block away from a corporate headquarters that has a huge child daycare. A block beyond that is a city park that has like a soccer, baseball field, playground, and a block beyond, about maybe a block or 2 blocks beyond that, is a high school with the high school football field and all that stuff. And there's a certain amount of regulation obviously has to happen, but then the bureaucracy can easily go too far and overreach, and that's the delicate game you have to play. Is like where does it stop?
Yeah.
And
Just
how much is too
Michigan
much?
and not being able to have safe water to drink.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, people have to do or there has to be something, because let's face it, people fucking suck, and they'll do shit because they're greedy shitbags, and they'll, excuse my French, but there's no other way to put it, and they'll because it costs money to fucking not, leak fucking arsenic into the air next to a daycare.
not all moms know they're pregnant when they are, and yet they may be breathing and drinking water and all sorts of things that are affecting.
Moms aren't outside right now because of the Zika virus scare.
Well, it's winter. Not too many mosquitoes.
Down here in Texas, we've got mosquitoes the size of pterodactyls already.
They're just not in Texas. They're also in South Carolina, too.
It's been warm enough.
I had to get the rifle out this afternoon and shoot a couple down.
Oh, man, that's a mosquito.
But joking aside, yeah, it's a lot of things have happened just lately that it's bad. It really is
I want
bad.
to ask an open-ended question here, so the whole panel can answer this because I don't even know the answer. Can you name any other constitutional right that you get taxed for? That you have to pay to exercise your constitutional right? Can you think of any other than keep and bear arms and open or conceal carry? That's a tax. Let's not kid ourselves.
Every judicial thing you basically have to pay for one way or another.
Court fees.
Lawyers.
Well, I know you have the right to travel, from state to state. I don't know if that's an amendment. You have to, apologize for that. But, there is something that says you can go from state to state or whatnot, by any means necessary. It's your freedom to travel. But I guess health and safety, you get taxed to have a driver's license, and you get taxed to have registration. You get taxed again for an inspection. You pay tax on the car. So you're getting hit 4 times to exercise your right to travel. But I can't really think of many other rights that were given to us from our founders that you have to pay to be able to do.
Well,
in most states. I mean, Vermont's
you got the
constitution.
freedom of speech, right? Some places charge you to get a permit to be able to hold a protest. So, I mean, there is that.
Well,
Not all places,
but remember, the distinction could be, not that I necessarily agree with it, could be that you're talking about the difference between your town, your city, versus what the amendments are they're pushed towards the federal government. So the federal government is not charging you a permit to go grab a bullhorn and speak out in front of the courthouse if you want to hold a protest or something. That's not the federal government doing that.
You do even pay a tax to the federal government, though, when you do your NICS background checks.
Well, but should the federal government protect you from things like, as an example, property rights, and that is in the Constitution, in regards to just you want to build a shed for your tools, and you got to get a permit, and you got to pay for that permit.
That's city, though.
That's city. That's
Right.
City and county.
But
Sometimes.
that's a violation of the federal always trumps local.
Also, it was never specified if we were talking about federal taxes, state, or local jurisdictional taxes.
You gotta pay for that bureaucracy. That shit ain't cheap.
Technically, you also pay for the First Amendment if say you are a journalist.
Like
because
I said,
that company has to pay fees and fines and regulatory fees.
It's a fine line to walk between too much and not enough, and unfortunately, if you're asleep at the wheel like our government has been for quite a while now, obviously it's going to tip in one direction, not the other.
Wait a minute. You said too much and not enough. I've got something for that. We're being taxed too much, and the people that are collecting those taxes aren't showing up to work enough. Because if you've ever watched Congress, C-SPAN, the Senate House, whatever, it's like a ghost town in there. We're paying for our right to assemble, and they don't even assemble, and they're getting paid.
Yeah, it's well, I don't know. Vote Bernie. He'll clean that shit out.
I told you I felt the burn this morning. I voted Democrat at the toilet.
Okay. Sean, what are the current numbers right now?
All right. So
tonight is Super Tuesday.
Yes. As of now, most of your Central and Eastern Coast states, they have up to 45 to 70% of their precincts reporting in. Trump has pretty much run the table except for Texas and Oklahoma, which were the big ones. Texas has 155 delegates, Oklahoma has 43. Cruz won both by, well, one by over 10% and one by 6%. Rubio distant third.
Yeah. Now, what the polls were showing up to where we got at this point is that essentially Trump was going to sweep probably, we got 11 going. He's going to sweep 6 to 7 states. And then Cruz he was going to take Texas, Oklahoma. They're saying Arkansas as well. And possibly, there's a possibility, and at this point we don't know yet, Alaska. But, I mean, they're so far over. They're still in the middle of their day today, so.
I think he'll get. I think Trump will get Alaska just because he got Palin's endorsement.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Now Minnesota's in play with their very bizarre delegate, rules. But there's a possibility that Rubio might get Minnesota. But then again, there's a possibility by the end of this night that Rubio still will not have won a state, and why he's still in the race is a mystery to everybody.
Because he's the only electable one.
Well, he's also clearly getting backing from someone financially, because you can't go that long.
The party's backing him now. As of yesterday, the party started backing Rubio hard, and they've been putting pressure on Kasich to drop out.
Yeah, it's the problem with Cruz is nobody fucking likes him, unfortunately. So it's I don't even, honestly, like watching these three fucking stooges like basically like elect Hillary for us is like, it's what a joke.
I'm going to give you a tin hat foil theory on this one. Just entertain me because you might like it.
I'm sure it will.
What you're witnessing is historical. What you have is the two front runners are doing a corporate takeover on the party that you thought that was the grand old party. They have literally took it over, and the people are voting, they're speaking, and they said, we're done with your party. They're just in your party, so the Electoral College will put them in the White House. So you've got the business magnate, you've got the bull in a China shop, and then you've got the Cuban version of Elroy Jetson who's being paid by the party. He doesn't have a chance in hell. I don't care. They spent $100 million on Jeb, and he's already gone. How much money are they going to throw at Rubio before they realize we're wasting our damn money?
It's not a matter of that. I think it's the parties looking at who can actually beat Hillary, like who can get those middle of the road, not sure voters to like come to the other side, or who hasn't alienated every brown person in this fucking country. You know what I mean?
Let's not forget. I mean, look at all the stuff that is going to come out during the general election.
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
they just pulled out a quote today that I heard on one of the shows I was listening to, where this has just been in the last. I mean, it's been since like 2000, where he basically said black people are inherently lazy. I mean, just off the wall Trump. Like, just off the wall shit like that.
Unfortunately, like, honestly, like, listening to Cruz blame fucking illegal immigrants, that the fucking whole, like, trope of, like, illegal immigrants are coming over here and taking jobs from Americans is, like, fucking played out and at this point it's stupid. Like, how many fucking doctors are fucking swimming across the Rio Grande to fucking come over here and take jobs away from American doctors?
Now, Canadian comedian Russell Peters said it best. He said, don't give me that crap about you come to our country and you take our jobs, because the first thing I ask is, did you want to work at this 7-Eleven?
Yeah, the only fucking, like, I live in an area with a lot of fucking, like, agriculture. The only jobs they come up here and take are the jobs that nobody else will take, and that's picking fucking, like, strawberries and fields and shit like that, or apples. And, like, if they don't get enough migrant workers up here for one reason or another, the fucking the farmers up here start sweating because they might not be able to get all their fucking produce to market. And if they have to start paying fucking people more money to actually go out there and do that, then our fruit and vegetables are going to start costing a fucking whole hell of a lot more money.
Okay,
And
good. We're coming full circle here. This is good because you raised a great point. The thing is they're attacking the car, or they're putting the cart in front of the horse on this one too. They're saying that illegals are taking jobs. They might be, but they're usually the jobs that most you and I type people will not go out and
I'll,
look for anyway.
I can tell you who's taking our fucking jobs easily. It's not another country or well, I mean, I guess technically it would be another country. It's not our neighbors to the north or south. It's fucking corporations, fucking sending jobs
Yes,
overseas,
absolutely.
like the jobs that people actually want, sending them to China, sending them to Mexico, like
See, what needs to happen is they need to, just like the cart and the horse thing, they need to make the public understand, look, they're not taking the jobs away, it's the corporations taking the jobs to other places, like your call centers in India and your manufacturing sites in China and things of that nature. What they need to get through to the voting public is, if you have a problem with illegal immigration, it's because of all the benefits that they're getting through our government programs that is bankrupting our nation. You know, you have this whole free medical, free college, or whatever that
dude,
they
we
say that they're
spend I
giving.
forgot we spend like I forgot how much. It's like 50 something is it billion?
It's got
I
to be
remember.
billions at this day and age.
Yeah, it's we spend a lot of money on the social whatever handouts.
Welfare programs, social welfare.
We spend double that on fucking corporate fucking tax breaks. Double that to like try to keep what few jobs we can like manage to keep in this country by giving fucking like in my area it's Nike. Dude, my fucking local government bends over and blows Nike to keep Nike in Oregon, and Intel's the other one.
See, and
Like,
that's the problem because now America has run out of skilled laborers. Like our grandfathers, you know, they built things with their hands. Henry J. Kaiser was probably one of the greatest industrialists of the 21st century or 20th century, and we don't have that anymore. You know, like your master welders are
well,
about to retire, and there's not
it's
very many apprentice ones.
it's easy to blame a bunch of like not physically mute, but you know, people that don't have a voice, like illegal immigrants coming over here to like wash dishes and fucking clean houses and pick strawberries. It's easy to blame them for the woes because they don't have a real voice. They don't have a voice. They don't have a place to go to like speak out because you know they're not going to because they don't want to get caught. So it's easy for these idiots to blame them and not fucking blame the fucking you know the corporations that they're beholden to that you know.
Well, we still can't
You,
deny that the influx of illegal immigration isn't an overbearing problem, though. I mean, it's still an issue because
it's a problem, but
it's
it's
not the
not
problem
up.
that we're being presented with.
And it's honestly, let's face it, a lot of these people are trying to get away from violence. And it's what is the violence caused by? It's caused by their shitty governments who are corrupt in and of themselves. But why are they corrupt and shitty? It's because of fucking war, the so-called war on drugs that,
Yeah. I've
you
been to
know,
Mexico. There's beautiful parts of that country. There's great people, it's great culture, great food, great everything, ruined by the
fucking,
cancerous corruption of everything else.
yeah, the
And
cartels and whatnot. And that's the thing. It's like, we have these assholes talking about, I'm gonna make Mexico build a wall. Like, go ahead, fucking head. They don't have to. They're not gonna do shit. You think they're
you
gonna
know
Well,
how you get Mexico to build a wall? I could tell you how Trump could win
tariffs.
in a landslide
They
victory.
didn't say the word, but that's the only way to do it. That they would have no choice is tariffs.
No, 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 no. No. See, Trump went about this all wrong because he got the response, "I'm not paying for that fucking wall." But anyway, he could have gotten a landslide victory if he approached this the right way and say, "I'm going to recall all the troops abroad. We are not going to be in the Eastern Hemisphere when I'm president. I'm going to take all of them back. We're going to bring all of them home, and then I'm going to give them a new job, and I'm going to assemble them at the southern border of the United States.
God.
And I'm going to call the president of Mexico and say, look, we have an influx of drugs coming in. We have an influx of illegal immigration coming in. They're trying to escape the corruption and the hazards of your country."
that would be even worse than his fucking shit he's saying right now. That would create a power vacuum all around the world that would just be catastrophic. North Korea would be like off their chain. Like
Hey,
fucking the Mid East would just implode. Israel would probably just bomb everybody around them. Fucking and God knows what Putin would do. He'd
Not
be
our
like,
problem.
PBR, I don't necessarily disagree
it's
with you about
it's
the
our
power
problem.
vacuum.
It's our problem if the other hemisphere starts glowing in the dark, because that shit will blow over
You're
here.
absolutely right
Fair
about
enough.
power vacuum.
But okay, I'm
Where
gonna
I
give you
think-
another out in left field idea here before I describe my Mexico plan. Here's my out in left field idea. Okay, is Putin really that big of a jerk, or is he just trying to get the United States to recognize that they want to be on equal footing with us as a global power?
Ask the Ukraine. Ask fucking yeah, he's a jerk. He's fucking making every country neighboring him that used to be under the Soviet Union's umbrella sweat fucking bullets. Even Finland, who's been able to hold off the Soviet influence, are fucking worried enough to fucking actually consider going to NATO, which has never happened before. I mean, they're probably not going to, but they at least are honestly considering it.
Let's not kid
Something
ourselves.
I would like
Going
to-
to NATO means asking the United States to intervene. Let's not kid ourselves.
All right, I'm just going to start talking. All right,
Go ahead.
I want to tag team on Sean's thought here about withdrawing the troops. For many decades too long, we have been paying with blood and treasure for the protection of other nations and never been reimbursed by those nations, allowing those same nations to grow under our umbrella of protection.
Yeah,
Of
but-
which the population hate us.
We
Yeah, no.
No,
It's
this
not,
is
it's not that
worldwide.
simple. We get paid back by having strategic fucking bases all around the world. We get paid back by having countries be able to grow and prosper and trade with the U.S. and
at each base we spend $1 billion plus.
dude,
How are we getting this back?
okay, fine. Let's just say we go back to the pre-World War II, even pre-World War One, isolationist mentality, and then we have a fucking army that is so in effect that can't fucking tie their own fucking boots, let alone fucking fight a war, and then we get met with a fucking another Pearl Harbor.
The
Whatever.
assumption in your argument is that there are only two options, and I agree. Isolationism, we've already gone down that road. Okay, we know what lies at the end of it, but we've also gone down the other road of being the world's policeman, and we know where
You're
that
choosing
leads.
extremes here.
There
You're going far on
is
both ends.
There's there are definitely times when we've overstepped and maybe made mistakes, but at the same time, most of the fights we fight are good fights, and some of them, yes, we're beholden to corporate interests, or we're going into places of fucking so they can grow bananas or whatever the fuck they're doing in that country, and I get oil or whatever, I get it, but at the same
Most
time,
of our oil comes from Venezuela.
there are countries that wouldn't exist right now if it wasn't for us.
Okay, but
No,
here's the
they
thing.
would exist. It's just they'd be under more natural lines of common cultures rather than
No,
artificial
dude,
lines,
dude,
which is what the
dude.
whole Middle East is based on. Is
Well, no,
artificial lines.
Well, yeah, made by the British, not made by us.
Well, right,
Okay.
but while we're
Would
paying
South-
the
would
price
South
and
Korea
they've been
be-
paying the price for those
South-
artificial lines?
Would South Korea be fucking better off if it was all fucking North Korea?
No,
let's
I'm not
face-
saying that there are some exceptions. I'm just talking generally speaking. And I agreed with you on the yes, there would be power vacuums, and yes, in some countries we might need to make exceptions.
Yeah, there are countries that have nuclear weapons that really shouldn't have nuclear weapons, and the only thing, it's, I don't know.
But do we
No,
really
I-
need to be down in the continent of
It's not our
South
place.
America? Just using that as an example.
Listen, it's not our place to tell a sovereign nation what they can and can't have if they
Wha-
developed and built it on their own.
But why are we in South America, Dano? That's because of the war on fucking drugs.
Exactly, and here's the thing. We have stuck our noses halfway around the world when just in our own backyard there's enough problems that we could deal with for the
But
next
see-
20 or 30 years, and we
But
keep
see,
ignoring
hold on. History, okay, we didn't stick our noses in World War II. It stuck it in us.
Right.
Same with fucking World War One. Same with fucking Korea. May have been the first time we intervened. We went out and were like, fuck that. We're not taking this shit.
Okay, wait. Good.
Against
I'm gonna run with that.
communism.
I'm going to run with
Against
that.
communism.
Every time that the fight came to us, it was a clear enemy and a decisive victory. Every time we took the fight to someone else, it's been nothing but a police action and a fucking nightmare.
We fucking, yeah. Well, we want Korea was. Korea just went back to the way it was. We didn't lose. I don't know if we won. We fucking killed a lot of Chinese and a lot of North Koreans, and unfortunately,
And a few Russians too.
And a lot of Americans died as well,
Yeah,
and
I know.
civilians.
Well, it wasn't just okay. First of all, it was a NATO action, so it wasn't just Americans over there dying.
But the vast majority were Americans.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I don't know the numbers. I know a lot of fucking our side died in 3 years. More, I think, almost as much as the fucking however many years of Vietnam died in Korea. Almost same amount. It was a fucking really, really fucking bloody war. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, I think we need to be where we are because that's where we are. We can't rewind that shit.
We can take
But
all
what
our
happens
troops
when
out
you
of
can't pay
Afghanistan.
for it
We
anymore?
can take them all out of
PBR.
the Middle East. We can make one phone call to Putin and say, "You deal with it. Let your guys die for a while. We're done messing with this side of the world. If you need us, call us." See, there's a difference between being isolationist and just taking care of your own. You can set up a system where you say, "Look, I've got my own problems on my side of the world. You want to be recognized as a global power on equal footing with us? Fine, I will recognize you as such as soon as you handle your business on your side of the world. But if you need us, call us."
Yeah, well, the thing, like, that's. I don't.
And at some point,
The problem is the world is so volatile, it can't work that way.
But we're not supposed to solve the world's problems.
We're not trying to.
We are like an
no, we
empirical
are trying
lord
to
over the entire
and
world.
we've been trying to for 60 years.
Yes, this is why we're considered and hated by so many as an overbearing,
We're not even
arrogant
hated.
people.
We're hated by the people that like you see on TV. There are plenty of fucking people in those countries that are very happy we were around.
Oh,
Fucking,
don't get me wrong. I
the-
love the fact that you guys
the
came to
Kuwait,
Korea
like,
because I wouldn't have been born otherwise.
like one of the big newspapers from Kuwait during the fucking anniversary, just their front page was like basically a fucking thank you America fucking thing for fucking saving us from Saddam. You know,
Hearts
like
and minds. Hearts and minds. Come on. That's what the libs do.
I mean,
Hearts and Minds,
I
it's
guess
like
I just
25
see us
years.
with,
This is like 25 years later. They're
Hey,
still
I can
thanking
send
us.
thank you cards without sending a dime. It's feel-goodism.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
It is.
so I'm going to
Hey,
say
hey, guys, yo, my turn.
Okay.
Oh, Heavy, bring it.
Let's take all that other crap, being the world's police and all that shit, and set it aside.
All right.
The fact of the matter is, we're strategically placed all over the world so we can respond to anything that could potentially be a problem to us as well. We make these decisions not just in interest of other people. We do it because we could probably use that space over there to help us out. You got to think about it. You want the blanket of freedom that's provided for you, and now you guys are questioning how we got it.
No. Who's to say
you want
that
a
you can't
Cadillac security system of which we can only afford a Pinto.
That blanket of freedom Heavy just brought up doesn't just like protect us; it protects a lot of fucking other people. And the thing is, like, yeah, it costs our lives, our blood, and our fucking like money. But at the same time, like, good. It's like as if that's a bad fucking thing, like to go out
I'm
and
not
fucking help
saying
people.
I wasn't talking. I said everything beside us aside. I'm talking about in our special interest because Sean keeps saying that, and Dano, that there's a difference between isolationism and just taking care of our own. We are taking care of our own while we're doing this, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
I'm not saying that you have to pull everybody out of every base. Don't get me wrong, okay? I mean, there has to be places like in Germany and like Japan and stuff like that. I get that. What I'm saying is we need to get our noses out of police actions that we really shouldn't be in anyway. You know, if you want a blanket of freedom, we have satellites, we have aircraft carriers, we have nuclear submarines, we have, freaking ballistic bombers and things.
And
We don't have to have a human presence as much as we used to.
Unfortunately, there's some like idea that like bombs and ballistic missiles just like will solve all the problems. And unfortunately, bombs just don't fall by themselves. So you have to have like it. You can bomb the shit out of stuff, but odds are you ain't gonna hit anything of importance without like people on the ground.
Right,
And
but I mean, it reduces
the situation
we find
the situation we currently find ourselves in right now in the Middle East is because somebody went off half-cocked and got us involved in a fucking country that we were involved previously and it may have been a huge fucking mistake. And then another fucking idiot came along and yanked all the fucking troops out of that place and left a power vacuum.
Yes.
And in that power vacuum's
Yes.
place, we get a new threat that is worse than the fucking last threat, and probably way fucking worse than the shitty dictator that we've had to slap around a couple times, and we probably put in power in the first place there. It's
And I
complicated.
agree with you,
You
on
spelled
the,
it
on
out
the power
perfectly.
vacuum.
You spelled it out
I-
perfectly. We interjected and we didn't finish the job. We pulled out far too early before setting up any stable government and any stable allies, and a cancer grew from that, and now it's bigger than it ever was.
If you want to
There-
roll shit back though, if you want to roll shit back around the world with our military, you gotta do it incrementally and slowly, and
And that would be fine.
carefully.
That's middle ground. And I'm not saying withdraw from every place, but there's a lot of places we don't need to be.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
As far as troops and what we do, I'm fine with that. Where my problem lies is like the war on drugs, because it's a fucking joke, and all it's doing is trashing.
And that's a perfect example of
That's
what I
what
meant by
needs to
we should
end.
South
Well,
America.
see, the war on drugs isn't a real fucking war.
Oh, I know.
And the U.S. military only fucking intervenes with that on a very small scale. That's all the DEA and who knows who else.
I knew several people who fought down in Panama and Guatemala in the late 80s.
Yeah,
There was a war on
Panama
drugs
and
back then.
Grenada.
There was definitely a war on drugs back then, and we didn't finish that job either. See, the problem we've got right now is we're trying to blame Mexico for all this hemorrhaging of illegal aliens and illegal drugs, and they're not taking control of their cartel situations, and they've got too many people bought off. And it's like, well, fine, look, we've got a lot of troops that don't need to be in certain places. Let's bring them back here. Let's march them straight into Mexico as long as we have their president backing us, and he marches his troops, and they go hand in hand, and they just slash and burn all the corruption right out of his country. Then the wall gets really small because it's on the southern border of Mexico.
That'll never happen. They'll never. American
Because no
troops.
one's got the balls to do it. No one has the initiative to do
it's
it.
because there's history there, and American troops going back into Mexico again doesn't really bode well for like the fucking 5 or 6 times we did that in the last century.
They've got mayors of their own towns getting picked up by cartels and dragged into the street and murdered in front of the people to send messages.
Sending American troops down there isn't the answer.
So what? No, with Greenpeace.
And what the answer is to stop, is to just legalize drugs. Just make it to where you're not going to get in trouble for smoking weed. That you can go buy weed at the corner store, and you can buy a pack of cigarettes. And then Mexico, the cartels in Mexico start to go broke because they live off of us. They live off of the United States.
Yes.
I mean, if we cut that off, if we make it to where their business is not needed here, because people, I mean, I'm not a weed smoker. Never been a weed smoker. I've tried it a couple times in my life. Not my thing. I prefer beer. All right, I like alcohol. That's my thing, right? But weed is not any worse than alcohol. Weed is not any worse than smoking and drinking. Why it is illegal, I don't know. Why we care so much if somebody wants to screw up their own life as long as they're not hurting others? I mean, it's already illegal to be operating a motor vehicle while under the influence. You've done something wrong at that point. But if that person is sitting at home smoking weed or fucking, snorting coke or whatever it is, and they want to do that in their own home and they're not hurting anybody else, why do we care? Why are we trying to criminalize that? And that's a big problem, and that is what keeps the cartels and all the BS going on in Mexico flowing, because we are their customers.
I know people don't like social services and whatnot. Some people don't, but the amount of money you'd spend on like people that want to get off drugs, it's like treatment centers, it would be so small compared to the money we spend on this fucking so-called war on drugs.
Oh yeah.
I got a prime example of why drugs being illegal are probably a good thing. We legalized marijuana out here in California a while ago. From where I lived, within a 5-mile radius, there are 25 pot shops.
That's medical marijuana.
Yeah, well,
I'm so glad you guys.
Let me finish what I'm saying. There was one right across the street, couple blocks over and right up the street from me. And there was another one a couple more blocks up from that. When those were in business and open and running, the crime rate in my area shot through the roof. The violent crime rate in my area shot through the roof. And that was only because they legalized weed and they were selling it in our area. Because the drug dealers are still going to be out there. They're going to be out there pushing the harder shit. They're going to be out there selling shit at a discount compared to the stores. And people are still going to buy it.
Yeah, but the thing is Colorado didn't have that happen.
Right, exactly.
So
And they
there's a lot that has to do with more than just the legalizing of the drugs. It has to do with the
infrastructure.
Yeah, the society.
The socioeconomic status of this area is not good. So yes,
we had medical for first, and then we just made it illegal for everybody. The only thing that happened is weed stores popped up everywhere, and now slowly but surely, the market is thinning them out because they can't all fucking sustain.
Right.
You know, you can't have.
Okay.
But as far as crime going up and all that shit, none of that's happened here, and it's heavily regulated, and so.
And
Yeah,
again, like, okay, well, what size of town, what type of town, city do you live in?
I don't know how millions. I don't know how many people. are
Okay,
here.
well, yeah, we've got millions too. We also have an indicative, well, a very large gang culture here where I live too, so that may have a part to play in it.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. It's a territory thing. It's a power thing. See, the thing is we talked earlier about stiffening penalties for gun-related crimes, right? Well, the problem is we have prison overcrowding, and a lot of those guys are in jail for bullshit like I had an ounce of weed on me. Yep. If you decriminalized just marijuana, you're going to knock out like 50% of the prison population overnight, because that's just all, petty bullshit. A drug by definition, by legal definition, actually says a chemical synthesized in a lab. Pot is not that. It's a plant. You drop a seed, you fertilize it, job done. You can modify it, but in its purest form, it's no different than a tomato or a banana or a strawberry. It's a plant. So you can solve so many problems by raising penalties for gun crime, so the wrong people with guns are dealt with. You can decriminalize marijuana, which will lower the demand from southern cartels because we're going to be able to farm and grow and make our own. And you can solve a lot of deficit issues because you regulate it like tobacco, or you tax it like tobacco, and you regulate it like alcohol. Because Colorado last year made twice as much money in pot tax than they did in alcohol tax.
But here's the problem with cartels being affected by pot sales. To move marijuana over the border, it's big, it's heavy, and it doesn't make a lot of money. To move meth, heroin, and cocaine, which is a much like the same package of either all three of those drugs or either of those three drugs, the size of like it's worth so much more money than pot. And so like to legalize marijuana is only like that's like a dent in the bigger fucking problem.
Its start is what it is.
And it's basically it's like it's gonna take a lot of soul searching for people in our country to like just like man up and fucking go the hard route. Just like it's like when fucking prohibition ended, people thought, and I'm sure people did go out and get fucked up for a while, because this country, turn of before pre-prohibition was a drunk fucking country. Like
but the alcoholism was even more rampant during prohibition than before it.
And so basically, I could see maybe a period of adjustment if we legalized all drugs, but after a while, if we did it right, it would just subside, and the fucking the chain reaction of like the cartels drying up, and hopefully all those corrupt politicians aren't going to be able to take bribes from fucking the cartel anymore. They're going to blow away. People in Mexico that are fleeing the violence won't be fleeing the violence anymore. We might still have people coming up here to do fucking migrant work in fields and shit, but good,
Right. Now, I'm gonna put this out here right now. There's the email for Hit or Miss if anybody wants to send us an email for an idea for a show, or if they just want us to answer questions and whatnot. There is the email address. I will monitor it from now on. So if you have anything you want to say or chime in, go ahead and send us an email. I think it's about that time tonight. I think it's time we go and just wrap it up. Wrap it up, do the DPG. So, Sean, guess what?
I don't have the thing loaded up. Give me a second.
Oh.
Hey, now wait a minute.
No, wait. Never enough ammo. You just volunteered.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I let you pick on mine all the time. It's my turn.
That's a good one.
To pick somebody who probably just won. Let's
You
see.
should probably give it to Flippy. He's never won one yet.
Oh,
No,
geez.
he has. He's won a couple.
I'm going to pick someone that I
You want
know
somebody-
I have never picked. Although if they've won, then I don't know. Let's see. Al.
I was thinking that too.
Al W.
Fellow Texan, congratulations.
There it is. Al W. You have won the GunChannels.com Daily Patch giveaway, so run on over to GunChannels.com/DPG, fill out the form, and get your free, awesome Gun Channels patch.
If Flippy can afford a fucking G3, he doesn't need another patch.
No, he doesn't.
Uh,
All right. But yeah, there's the email. I'm just gonna leave that up there, and whatnot. But guys, I think it's time we wrap it up tonight. So I want to thank Kevy B for showing up.
Thanks for having me.
Never enough ammo. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us.
The pleasure was all yours.
It was, wasn't it? I'm not sure. Not with this one. PBR, thanks for jumping in and just arguing with Sean.
Bone Tomahawk.
That's for your show. This is my show.
Okay, sorry.
I told you not to let him out of his cage, man.
Well,
Can
be
we
glad.
stay in on that note?
No.
Nah, it's copywritten.
No. Here's the thing. Be glad Yankee didn't show up, because I did give him a link.
Oh.
Man, this would have been a 4-hour
He's
show.
just trying to kiss Yankee's ass so Yankee will invite him into shooting left to center.
No, Yankee won't invite anyone into that one. I mean, the only time he lets people into that one is if he doesn't care about it. And that was during SHOT Show. Anyways, Sean, thank you for showing up tonight and giving us something to talk about.
Not a problem. I still think Daryl's going to be the first one to meet Lucille. NASCAR country, you can eat it if that actually happens.
Oh, man.
It's Carol. Carol's going
Carol-
down.
I don't know, man. I think Abraham's going to be the first one to bite it because he showed some hope. He's going to bite
totally.
it. As far as who meets Lucille, if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be a Carol or a Glenn.
Carol's Carol. If you want, trust me, it's Carol.
See, I think they put Glenn through too much crap, so
Yeah.
it's got to be something shocking. It's got to be Daryl, man.
There's shit that Carol's been doing that all the characters that have died have done.
Although they made you hate Morgan, it could always be Morgan.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, they took
Anyways,
his girl away, right?
He's trying
some
to
of us will be here tomorrow
Morgan
for a
lately.
match chat, but
just
I'm Night Strike. This was Hit or Miss.